Hey guys, you're listening to the Driven Nutrition Podcast.
If you're not following these steps as a business owner, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to help your community.
It's about more than that. It's about me wanting to take my box to the next level.
Welcome to the Beyond Driven Podcast from Driven Nutrition, where we talk about everything beyond supplements, exercising fast, and life in general. Pretty much anything that comes to mind.
For more information about Driven Nutrition, head over to www.drivennutrition.com. Hey guys, welcome to the Driven Nutrition Beyond Driven Podcast. We're so happy to have Mike Wuest with us today. He's the owner of CrossFit COMO. We're really excited to have you today, Mike. What's going on, man?
What's up, Brenton? How's everybody doing? I hope, I guess they're not going to hear me right away or see me right away, but I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to talk to you about some cool stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I know you got a lot of cool stuff going on, and let's just go ahead and dive right in. I want to learn a little bit about you. Let's talk about where you went to school and what you went to school for. We'll start there.
Yeah. So I, wow. I'll just give you the big picture of everything. My CrossFit background, when I got into it. I'll give you the whole breakdown and all that. I'll keep it short though. So yeah, I grew up here in Missouri, so not too far from you guys. Columbia is where I spent most of my childhood. And about 3 hours away from the Driven HQ, and I went to college down in Rolla, Missouri, at the University of Missouri Rolla, or Missouri University of Science and Technology as it's known now. And so when I went there, I honestly didn't apply to go to college until about 2 weeks before the semester started. I was a big procrastinator back then, and but I got in, they let me in, they let me, declare a degree. So I picked a business and I had no clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
My dad owned his own business. He was a pizza franchisee. And so, he actually moved our family down there my last year of high school. So I got to finish high school here in Columbia. But as soon as I got done, I moved down there with my family because I didn't know what I was doing going 18. And so went to Rolla, did my 4 years undergrad, graduated, with honors, which I was pretty happy about. And then I decided to stick around for another year and did an MBA, which was really awesome. So I specialized in marketing. And
for a procrastinator, it sounds like you did all right for yourself.
Yeah. I figured. I went to the right school. I think if I would have went anywhere else, I wouldn't have been surrounded by such driven people. And so,
Got it.
Rolla is a big engineering school, science and technology, right? And so everybody there, some weekends it was just like College Town, USA. It was awesome. And then some weekends you could go out and try to hang out and party or whatever, and no one would be out because it would be midterms or study days or whatever. It's just not the traditional college experience. And so all my roommates were engineers, so they all spend a ton of time behind the computer, on whiteboards, etc. And it kind of just rubbed off on me. And I really am thankful that, it's kind of weird to think about, but I'm thankful I didn't go to a normal, college experience, because I think I would have went down a really not a bad path, but who knows where I'd be today if I would have went to a different school. I guarantee my life path would have been a lot different. So, but actually when I was in school down there, I graduated with my MBA in 2008. And when I was in school down there, that's when I first kind of discovered CrossFit. I had a trainer that I had met at the local gym, and she did the typical trainer thing. They come up to you, hi, how you guys doing? She's a little flirty. She's like, hey, you guys want to do this fitness test? You guys, me and my buddy, she's like, you guys look pretty fit. We should, let's do this little fitness test. I think she's trying to sell us personal training. Well, long story short, we spent that afternoon talking with her, doing our little fitness test, which was nothing, but and then I kept seeing her at the gym every day we went. And then finally she's like, hey, you ever heard of this CrossFit thing? And I'm like, no, what is it? All I knew how to do was bench press, deadlift a little bit, bicep curls, and that was about it. And that's the ball, yeah. And so, basically, she introduced me to CrossFit. It's kind of crazy. and I did a couple workouts with her. I went on CrossFit.com. I had no clue what the abbreviations meant. And I was like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. But, my 23-year-old ego at the time said, this ain't going to get me big, those kinds of things. And so.
Do you remember your first CrossFit workout?
I don't. It was some big chipper, bunch of different things. I think rowing was in. I don't really remember. I remember like when I got into CrossFit when I moved back to Columbia, and I distinctly remember doing Fran a couple times, and Kalsu was another one.
Yeah.
And which are stupid, but when you're. I spent 3 years after college in Rolla working at the university there, and then I moved back to Columbia in 2011 and started working at the university here. And
what were you doing in Rolla? What was your first title there at the school?
Yeah, so two things. I was working for the food service company as a marketing manager.
Okay.
And so I was doing restaurant marketing because my dad had been a restaurant entrepreneur for a long time, and that was something I was really good at and understood very well. And so that was my first job out of school. While I was doing that, I actually got an adjunct professorship. So I was teaching a basic marketing 101 to incoming MBA students. So I loved that so much. That's probably my first aspect of teaching people besides like the trainings that I would do as a marketing manager with like cashiers and staff.
Yeah.
And so and that job was awesome. It was a lot of fun, but it was so demanding for time. I would be, I think the most days I worked in a row was about 24, and the pay obviously wasn't that great. And so I started looking around, and then I found an opportunity up at Mizzou and doing the same job, but on almost a 10 times scale. Mizzou has 30 restaurants, right? And on campus. Services, almost 30 annual sales. And so it was pretty awesome to have that kind of responsibility. I did that for 6 years. And then just recently, I left the gym full time and, focus on the gym, focus on the people there. And, I also have a really cool software called Box Builder that I developed kind of over that time, the things I've learned. And, those two things I can do 2 full-time jobs, I can't do 3. And so I had to cut something out in Mizzou. After 9 years of being in the industry, I jumped in. But yeah.
So you'll have to forgive me. It broke up a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about your role there at Missouri. How many restaurants were you in charge of there?
Oh, yeah. So at Mizzou, I did the same role as a marketing manager for, there's 29 locations all across campus.
Wow.
And so we did just under $30 million annual in sales. And so my role there, I was basically the brand manager. So I established the brands. I taught the employees, how to do upselling and how to, we position the brands with our pricing and the product selection. I did a lot of press releases and meeting with press and interviews and stuff like that. And so basically any part of the marketing function, when you get to an organization that's that large, you need specialists like marketers. And so I had a small team, graphic designer, social media, website person, and a couple of students, and we rocked it, dude. Multiple awards, constantly had people from other campuses coming to our campus to see the cool things that we were doing. Mizzou is a really, really special campus, really awesome to be a part of it. However, all good things come to an end. I spent a little over 6 years there, and we wanted to focus on the gym, focus on my new platform, Box Builder.
When did you open the gym? While you were working there? How many years in? When was that?
Yeah, so I came to Mizzou in 2011.
Okay.
And so the first 2 years, as soon as I came to Mizzou, I realized I wasn't getting enough out of my normal workout. So I was so bored of the bench press days and the bicep days and all that stuff. Like it just, because I'd go with my buddies, but then the days they don't want to go, then I'm not going to go, obviously, right? And so I had a friend that we were doing everything together, and he stopped working out. He had no desire. He was just burnt out, and I got bored. So I remembered CrossFit. I went back, and actually I do remember my first like real CrossFit workout. The first time I actually realized I was doing CrossFit, it was the 300 movie. If you've ever done that one, 300 reps, a bunch of different things. So I did that twice a week for about a month. That would be my conditioning days, and then my non-conditioning days would be, the standard, bro sesh stuff. But yeah, I actually, people started seeing what I was doing. They were wondering what was going on while I was making all this noise, while I was huffing and puffing for 45 minutes straight. My first time I did that, I was around like 45, 50 minutes. And then I got it down all the way to like 22 minutes and finished it. And Hugh Jackman? No. Who's the guy in 300? Gerard Butler?
Gerard Butler, yep.
Yeah. So him and his guys, when they were training for that, they got down to like 17 minutes, which was I thought absolutely insane when I first started. But I realized like your capacity goes up as you continue to do this stuff. So that was pretty eye-opening. And then when I got bored with that, I started finding other things and doing Fran and stuff like that. And
now, this is all just at the school or at the local gym, or?
Yeah, the local gym. Yeah, and I ended up starting to build a little bit of following. I had some guys I play basketball with every week, and they all worked out there. And so we started like taking the back room over, and there was about 7 or 8 of us that would take over the back room at 5, 6 o'clock at night. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. One day I was there on a Saturday doing deadlifts, handstand push-ups, and something else. And the trainer came back there and put yoga pads underneath the deadlift bar. And he was like, yeah, you're just making a little bit too much noise. I was like, dude, there's nobody within 50 feet of me, and I'm in a back room. Like, okay, right? And he's like, oh, the manager's telling me I need, and I was like, all right, I got to find a CrossFit gym. So there really wasn't an option here in our town at the time. That's kind of what sparked the CrossFit journey. I always wanted to have my own business. I always wanted to open a gym. That was one of my dreams with my college roommates. We were going to move down to Florida, bro it out, and own our own gym. That didn't pan out. So I started researching more and more about what CrossFit does, and that was late 2011. And then it took me about a year to take action and actually pull the trigger. And then we opened in March of 2013.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about that experience. You said it had been something you've been thinking about for a while. So from a mental standpoint, you were probably kind of prepared for it. But was there anything that happened right there at the beginning that kind of sticks out a little bit where it's like, hey, this is the real deal?
Yeah, man. So I told you, like, in the beginning, I procrastinated a lot as a kid.
Yep.
And everything. And so there's always this fear of unknown, like this fear of risk. I come from a family that, if you wanted anything, you had to work really hard, and you didn't understand. I think sometimes we don't understand value. We always thought, okay, trade this many hours for this much pay. And, the gym, there's a couple here that my wife and I knew. And I started taking him to CrossFit workouts, like doing workouts with him. And he's an awesome dude. And he came from a well-off family, so money was never a thing for him. It's always a thing for me. Like, I was always worried about not having money. And so I kind of shared the idea, and he's like, dude, let's do it. He's like, I'll give you some money. I'll go in with you on it. We'll coach and we'll have fun. And so, like, a lot of CrossFit gyms, they all start that way, right?
Yeah.
So, so he was like, hey, I booked my level 1. I was like, what? You did? He's like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm like, well, I guess I got to do it. So we went to CrossFit Nashville, and we drove down there overnight and did it. And Rich Froning was one of our instructors, which was really cool. Like, that was kind of the whole thing, like, hey, maybe this decision was right,
Was he a cool guy? Was he pretty good as far as interaction and stuff at that event?
Oh yeah, yeah. So this was early 2013. He was the demo person, but he coached. Like he also, in the breakout sessions, he coached. And yeah, he was amazing, like awesome. And obviously everybody was a little starstruck and nervous around him because, especially at that time, that was when CrossFit was really starting to hit its peak.
And he was, he was the guy there.
He was the guy. Yeah, he was the Jordan of CrossFit. But yeah, he was awesome. So our first breakout session was the squat series, and I had just come off an ankle injury from basketball. I rolled my ankle so bad that I could barely walk. My thing swelled up. So I had not really worked out a whole lot in a couple months. And so we broke out in the squat session, and we're all just kind of doing some warm-up sets. And then he's like, all right, who wants to come in the middle? And I was like, well, I want to, like, Rich Froning? Hell yeah, I'm coming in the middle. So he dropped my kick and tore my squat to shreds. But I learned a lot, in that moment. I learned some coaching tips. I learned some, movements, how to coach and teach the squat. And it was just a really, really cool experience to have, have Froning, be your coach, when you do your level 1. So
yeah, for sure.
It's cool. It's real cool.
So you open your gym. It's moving well. You're working a full-time job still at Mizzou. Now you have this dream of opening another business, right?
Yeah.
So how did that come about? How did you? We'll kind of dive into it a little bit about how did you take the steps to do that? What was the risk involved and things like that? So you got a good gym going. You got a full-time job. You're married. Is that correct? You were married at this time as well. So everything's going well. And then one day you wake up and you're like, I got this dream. I got to go. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, the gym, I don't think I ever would have opened it up on my own. So without my my business partner at the time, without him kind of just jumping in and having no fear of risk, I never would have done that. So our relationship business relationship didn't really last more than a year. We just had kind of different goals after. My ultimate goal is always to get out of the university with the gym. But now after 5 years, I needed to get vested in my, get the safety net put together. But I wanted to get 5 years in at the university. But I would never have done that. But once I opened the gym, it's just like a athlete that comes to a gym, they build confidence, right? They build understanding. They push themselves a little bit better. And I have a philosophy of, I call it the commit to 1%. And I didn't create this. I read it in a couple different blogs, but basically it's 1% improvement every day, no matter what it is that you're working on. So if that's business, commit to 1% of every day of improvement.
That's awesome.
If it's your fitness, it's like you can't go from sedentary and no fitness to, the Rich Fronings in the world without the process. The process is that 1%. Like it's every single day focusing on getting 1% better than you were the day before. And over a year, multiple years, your capacity and everything, fitness, business, lifestyle, whatever it is you want to focus on will be so much more because of that. And that's something that's really, really, we try to instill in our gym, as a cultural piece. So the other business, right? So when I opened the gym, I obviously a marketer, like my background's in marketing. There wasn't much out there. I wouldn't say nobody. There wasn't much out there in terms of business development for gyms. Like, what percentage of your revenue should your rent be? What, all these different numbers, like how much you should pay coaches and how do you develop coaches? There's 2 companies, maybe 3, that had any kind of content out there. Other than that, there was nothing. And so I started taking all this stuff I knew about the restaurant industry and applying it to our gym. And then I started writing a blog called The Box Business. And I just started writing about my experiences owning the gym and teaching gym owners about basic marketing business principles that'll apply. And you're starting to see it now big time here in late 2017. There's so many people trying to get in on the CrossFit space in terms of offering those types of programs and services, which is fine. I think it's great. The more knowledge our industry has, the better. So the first thing I ever did in my gym was set up email nurturing for people when they inquire about joining the gym. right? Because we were inundated when we opened. We were like the talk of the town, on the news. We were in the papers, magazine, like everything that any kind of publication in Columbia with fitness involved in it, we were in it. And that's just because I opened up super strong. Like we were the first. There was one other CrossFit gym in town, but they were kind of in the process of selling. They transitioned owners a couple times. They didn't really go out and brand themselves. They were just kind of there. And they kind of evolved into a brand that's pretty well known actually now. But at the time though, when we opened, we were the CrossFit gym in Columbia. I mean, we were the one that people went to. Yep. And it was just because of positioning and marketing and branding and what we did with all of that.
What was some of the early steps that you took that helped with that?
I made myself available like that. I mean, one thing that I think some cool takeaways people can take out of this interview is that, if you don't ever ask and you don't ever put yourself out there, then you're never going to get the opportunity. You'll never get it. Like it's incredible the people that news outlets and media pick for their experts. It's not typically the best or the brightest. It's the person that is putting themselves in front of that organization. So we had actually a student project at Mizzou. Obviously, it's a big journalism school. So the student project came by, and when we opened, they saw us in the newspaper. She came by and was like, "Hey, I'd like to do an interview with you guys." So I set up the time, made it really easy for her to get in, did an interview. She loved it so much. She's like, "Hey, actually, I work for the local news station as a student reporter. We should do a story." I was like, "All right, sweet, let's do a story." So we did a story, and my website had like 4,000 or 5,000 hits that
Cool.
story. And I couldn't have paid for better media than basically an interview at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so she ended up joining the gym because she loved just the interview and the process and what she saw. She was a Mizzou Golden Girl. She's out in Hollywood now doing all this kind of cool stuff. But she helped us think a lot in terms of our branding. The other thing that we did is obviously being local. So we really branded ourselves local. So the colors that we picked for our brand, we did black, yellow, and gray. The university colors were black and gold. So very similar look. We used a tiger in our branding, Mizzou Tigers. We did a lot of that stuff.
Cool. Relatable brand right from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is we were huge on social media. Like social media was still big at that time. It's still big now, but it was different then. So every day, twice a day, I highlighted my members. I took photos of them and I wrote a story about them, like something short. And we had, our first month open. Obviously, like if you're in the right spot, in the first month you can be net positive in cash flow. And so our first month we were, and then we kept just building upon that. And we were in a small facility, and we just kept killing it, kept pushing. We put 250 people through our foundations program our first year, which is pretty big. We had a hole though in our bucket, right? So we had all these people come through, but at the end of the year, we only had like 115 members or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I realized there's problems in the business, and so we started figuring out, okay, what is it? Retention. How do we fix that? How do we work on that? And so I built out different tools and systems with some marketing automation to help with that, to help with us keep up with our clients. A lot of that was manual. I created a system. We call it the... Oh, is that getting loud?
Yeah, I'm not sure. What is that? Do you know what that is?
No, it sounds like it's on your end, but I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. Well, let's keep going.
Some kind of microphone feedback.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. So I created a system for our gym, and so the system was called the COMO method, CrossFit COMO. And so the COMO method was our 100-day onboarding sequence for new members. So we had a couple of touch points that I wanted our coaches to hit, as well as the members to receive during those 100 days. So the first part was like, okay, the first visit. What does the first visit look like when somebody walks through the door? And so we started with just the consultation. What is the consultation process? What's that system? Then when they start doing foundations, what do we do? So day one, we do the squat series. Okay, so then after day one, we have a topic that we discuss with them. Then we give them a kill clip, for example. Then day two is our press series, and then we did another thing, and we gave them a driven sample. And we do all these like different things, and then after they finish their foundations program, we nurture them with email sequences, and then our coaches follow up with them. And so our coaches, their goal is to follow up once a month with every person that's on their client roster. So that way everybody in the gym is getting touch points. And so when we implemented this whole system, it was a big challenge, but our retention numbers got better. We didn't have as many people cancel. The other thing we did is started to focus on a different type of clientele, and we got rid of discounts. And so our students are an amazing part of our community here. It's obviously a big population to pull from, but we had benchmarked our pricing for students off some other fitness things in town, and realized the economies of scale don't really apply to the CrossFit gym space.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I know down in Springfield there's a lot of like 400, 500 person gyms, but to get to that level is really, really hard. It's super hard in the CrossFit space. You just have to have the right mixture, right pricing, facility. Like for me to get if I were to get a 10,000 square foot facility in Columbus, Missouri, I would be paying, I couldn't even tell you how much, too much money. And I'd have to be way, way on the outskirts of town to even get that. But I don't think the clientele in our market would go there. So what we ended up doing is realizing like our value shouldn't change based on like somebody's part in life, like if they're a student or they're a doctor or they're somebody in between those two. We just said, here's our pricing for our memberships, here's what we offer, and people can take that. And so that's what we ended up doing. And that's 4.5 years, almost 5 years of like knowledge running your gym and figuring out exactly what you want to get out of it, right? And so that was the precursor to my platform, Box Builder. I mean, is really learning all those things, and then we put together this really, really cool tool that helps gym owners enhance the client experience. Everything to help them convert leads, to when they're a member, becoming a brand ambassador and increasing lifetime value. And then if people ever leave the gym, which they will, it just happens, it's part of life, we do some things to keep in touch with those people and also get them back in the gym. And so there's a lot stuff kind of baked in between all of those, but that's kind of the big picture look at what Box Builder does.
Cool. So no matter what the platform is, whether it's Box Builder or, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people out there kind of doing these type of services now. What do you think those gyms are getting that a normal gym doesn't maybe do, or what's some practices that somebody can start performing right away to potentially start enhancing that client experience, like what you were talking about? What's maybe some little tidbits that you can just start tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I tell everybody, because we work with a lot of gyms all over the world. I mean, Canada, Europe, nobody in Africa yet. We have Australia, New Zealand, all over the States. But here's the deal. You have to focus on the client experience first and foremost. Like, focus on the people in the gym. And then if you focus on those people, that's going to translate into everybody else. So what I recommend gym owners do, this is what you can do today, your action item, is document what you want your process to be, stay true to that process, and then work on refining it, that 1% improvement. And so the easiest thing to do that is start with your intake. What's your intake look like? Document it and improve it. Okay, when somebody becomes a member, let's map out what their journey is. So what touch points do you want to have that person receive? So in their first 15 days, you want to reach out to them 2 or 3 times. On day 30, you reach out to them again. These are touch points outside of the gym. And then you don't have, our software it's definitely a premium, feature, but it's our gym owners are telling us it's an integral part of what they do. And it replaces a staff member, which is phenomenal. But you can do a lot of the stuff that we do with different tools. That's what happened before I built the platform was I had all these different, like probably 7 or 8 different systems connected, talking to each other. It was kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest, but it worked. But I realized like this could be better, and that's where we put the time and effort into building out the platform. But yeah, so takeaway would be make sure everything's documented, systemized, work on improving it, fine tuning it. But it all has to be focused around the client experience. That's first and foremost.
So I think, and I think part of that too is understanding who you are as an affiliate too. You know what, like you mentioned, you had to switch things up a little bit as far as who you were bringing in the door at what price range. You know, that's going to be a big part. Look at what you have now and kind of start deciding, okay, is my gym an athlete performance gym? Because some gyms, you know, are able to run in that capacity. Am I a beginner's gym? Am I a community gym where I'm more about just the actual community of what we have going on? Am I a performance gym where I'm able to give them, you know, tons of documentation as far as their increases in strength and so forth? I think finding what you're really good at, what your knack is, either as a business owner or your head coach, whoever it may be, and then kind of really, like you said, trying to evolve that one thing and get some systems in play to make that one thing even better.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. You know, I think when we all get into CrossFit, or at least even my when I first got into it, it was like I got into it because I thought I was going to the games. That was my initial, like, it really was. Like, that was like not my reason to open the gym, but my reason to get into CrossFit. I was like, oh, I'm fully capable. I wasn't willing to work that hard, right?
Right.
And then I was like, all right, well, we'll open a gym and we'll get some people together. Maybe we'll put a team together. And we actually had some competitive people. I had, we had an MPGL athlete. We had some regional athletes in our gym. We had some games athletes that were members at one point. And I loved that side of CrossFit, but long term for us, I don't think it was the best. You know, it's not our best. You know, well, we do the best, right? And so what we do the best, you know, and what we decided was our one thing was focus on that community and that family. We're like the family gym. Like, we get along, everybody gets along, you know, like we're competitive within each other, but we, you know, like some people like to do competitions, but it's not a focus for us. We really kind of do that fitness for life concept. That's really kind of where we really push. So, you know, there's some people that come to the gym and we're not the best fit for them. That's okay. And then vice versa. Like, I'm sure people go to other gyms in town and aren't the best fit for them either. But, you know, you can only have so many performance gyms in a city anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're all eventually will all gravitate towards, you know, one gym, and that's gonna be that gym's kind of thing. But for, you know, there's 13,000 CrossFit affiliates in the world. Like, there's not enough athletes in there to send games from every one of those gyms. So you got to kind of figure out, you know, what your niche is and what you guys want to be known for, and then focus on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff.
Well, cool. I got you for about 10 more minutes, man. The last thing I really want to touch on is we're getting close to the end of the year. We're here. We got about 2 months left. What's a couple things that, if I own a gym, what should I do right now in the next 2 months before Christmas that can really change the whole outlook of 2018?
Yeah, I would give you probably, I think, 3 things that are top of mind. One, let's have a plan. What do you want to accomplish in 2017?
18.
You know, or 2018. Yeah, where am I at? Yeah, so what do you want to accomplish in 2018, right? Yeah. So, like, have an idea of where you want to be, because, you know, you're not going to have that happen overnight, but that commitment to 1%, that'll get you to where you want to be. So that's kind of first and foremost. Here to close out 2017, you have a really good opportunity to kind of get ahead of the curve in terms of getting people in the door. And so there's a couple of different audiences you can focus on, right? New leads or new people that might be interested in starting something before the new year. It's going to be really hard to compete with the big brands, you know, like the Gold's Gyms and those people around January, because they spend a lot more money in marketing, in a lot of cases probably more money in marketing than you make in a year. I mean, that's just the all honest truth. But we can get ahead of them, right? Because what CrossFit gyms and our smaller gyms are better at is that relationship, is that community building. So I would tell gyms to do this. One, reach out to former members. Send them an email. All you have to say is the subject line, hey, and then the email, you write the body, 9 words. Like, are you still interested in getting fit?
Love the 9-word emails.
Yeah, man. The 9-word email, it works wonders. Like, it's so good. And that will generate some conversations for you. It's not going to sell everything, but it's going to generate conversations. So to go along with that, have a plan for the end of the year. So have a offer for them. Like a friend of mine who you guys know really well, Brian Alexander, did this last year, I think it was. And he had a plan that, or a program for people who are former members and wanted to get jump started back into the gym. And I forget what he calls it, but it's some kind of like jump start plan. And basically it was only in December. You came in, you got 3 sessions with the coach, the rest of the month for free or part of that price or something like that. And it just kind of jump starts you before everybody else starts coming in January, February time frame. And so that I think is a brilliant idea. And that's something actually we're going to be executing in our gym this December, just because it's a great way to get people back in the gym that would, it's hard to get back into CrossFit if you go out of it. It really is. Because you're going to be sore, it's going to be painful. And
you're not going to be as good as you were.
yeah, your ego will be hit, all those kinds of things. But yeah, so I would say, if I'm a gym, this is what we're doing, so I'll give you my strategy. Focus on, a plan. Send out that 9-word email to your former members. Give them some type of offer to jumpstart ahead of the curve, and then don't forget to leverage your current members. They're the lifeblood. They're the foundation of what you're doing. So they can really, really help you in building your community, building your brand, and getting you ahead of the curve. Moving into the new year.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head with your current clients. Referrals can be a super easy thing here at the end of the year. Like, hey, you've been here for a year, you've been here for 6 months. We all have that one friend that we talk to about it, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do it. What better time than, hey man, let's start now. So in 2018, we can really take this thing off. And so, having that conversation with your current members to reach out to those people, and then like you said, have a plan to execute what you're going to do with those people, that's going to be a golden opportunity for anybody.
Yeah, and we don't, in the CrossFit space, at least my understanding of it, like a few members can go a long way. Like you don't need to put 50 new people in your gym every single month to stay afloat, but you probably need 5 to 10 to 15, for most of our gyms. And so, that's, you ask a current client to say, hey, you got anybody that may be interested or that you'd like to work out with in 2018? Let's get them in 2017 to get them started. So you're absolutely right. Leverage your current members. I don't think we do that enough. They obviously trust you. They spend a lot of money with you every year. They have friends that they talk to, but if they got a little bit of a nudge to push that friend a little bit more, you can set up a consult with that person and help change somebody's life.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where in our heads we build that it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation to ask our members for something. But like you said, they love us and you guys have a great relationship, so they're going to want to help you. And if as long as you go about it the right way, they're going to understand that what they can do can contribute to the overall, likeliness of the gym and where it's at. Maybe potentially getting new equipment, having a better community, more events, whatever it may be. If they feel like they have a role in that, it can give them actually more confidence than what they had before, potentially make them stay even longer.
Yep. The first time I ever sold a 2-pound driven whey protein was because I asked one of my members after a workout what he did, just a simple conversation. What are you taking right now? And he told me. I said, have you tried this stuff? We just started carrying it. He's like, no. He's like, let me get one. And he just bought it just like that. And I just asked him, like, didn't try. I wasn't trying to sell him. I was just saying, hey, here's something cool that we're offering. He would rather support the gym than a local, supplement store or whatever. And he buys from us almost every month. So gotta take action.
Yeah, and that can go right into the referrals, right? Hey, man, you've been here for 2 years. It's been such a fun ride. You got to have a friend that wants to do this too, or that's been on your mind. Let me give you this opportunity to bring them in here and make them a part of our community. It could be huge, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Good
cool
stuff.
Well, I think that's great. You gave a lot of cool tidbits as far as making sure that client experience is exactly what it needs to be, and keeping those clients around, all that stuff. I think it's really cool some of the points that you touched on. And I think that we can all get a lot out of what you said today.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks again for having me. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to hop on sometime in the future too, just to see where things are. But we really appreciate working with you all. And Jason's been great. He came and did a chat with my box community with all the gym owners that I work with and with Box Builder. And so he helped provide us a lot of value. So we really appreciate that. And really happy to chat with you guys.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was a great time. Anything else you want to say here before we sign off?
I would just say the takeaways for people: commit to that 1% improvement, whether that's your business, your personal life, whatever. Just chip away at it every single day, just like a CrossFit workout. And then the other thing is take action. I mean, that is so huge. Like, just do it. I mean, Nike has the perfect slogan because it makes sense. Like, you just have to do it. So
yeah, for sure. Michael, where can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you? How can they contact you, man?
Yeah, a couple different ways. Obviously CrossFit COMO is the gym. So Mike at CrossFitComo.com. If you want to read some more the way I view things in the CrossFit space, theboxbusiness.com. So check that out. It's just a blog about how to be an awesome affiliate owner and provide value for people. So almost everything on that, about 90% of all the content on that site is free. Just a great resource tool. So check it out. There's a lot of good people in our industry helping out a lot of gyms. And so I just like to give back, because I've learned so much from so many people. So
cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. That sounds great, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate the time, Mike, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.